What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. Let me get Facebook up and running here. Um, Want to make sure I get this on public and edit audience, public save. There we go. All right. So, what we have today is to discuss this guy, this Mr. Kwame Jones. Mr. Kwame Jones. Kwame Jones. I'm going to read you the article about it first, and then we're going to dive a little further into it. So we have a base of what exactly took place about it because it's upsetting. Detroit pastor and wife accused of forcing teenage sons to sleep outside in freezing temperatures. And these are the two individuals. A Detroit pastor is trending online for all the wrong reasons, and quite frankly, the congregation might need to lay hands on him. I wouldn't disagree with that. He is the pastor at Metropolitan Baptist Church. Not for his lukewarm sermons. He's not known for that. He's very fiery, as you'll hear in a minute. Or his off-key choir, but because he's allegedly been making his two sons sleep outside on their front porch since mid-summer. The boys' mom, Luana Jones, has allegedly turned their front porch into a punishment chamber for their sons. The boys have reportedly been sleeping outside since midsummer and during sweltering heat in July, and of course now in winter with 20 degrees temperature, sometimes colder. This is Detroit we're talking about. Here are pictures of the outside setting. This is where they have had all the children sleeping. I don't understand how. Well, I'll get into a story in a minute, but I don't understand the extreme that this man is going. The situation hit social media Monday, igniting a firestorm after photos and video surfaced showing the dire conditions. In short, a concerned man who identified himself on social as a journalist, approached the teens, offered help. One of the boys told him, "We're good." Even when the man offered food, the teens' nonchalant response suggested this freezing porch was normal for them. Call it tough love, call it punishment, whatever you call it, the streets of Detroit are calling it shameful. Get some sound here.
Hey, y'all. Hey. Yeah. What's up, man? Y'all all right, man? Oh, yeah. You sure, man? Man, you want to go get something to eat or something, man? Like this shit, like people been calling me. I know you all know who I am, man. I'm a big social media journalist, man. And yeah, man, I want to help y'all, man. Huh? I'm on live stream, yeah, because it's a lot of people trying to help y'all, bro. You sure? You say who? No, your face ain't on there. No, I'm on the ground. Man, you sure, bro? Man, people telling me what's going on over here, man. I don't, you want me to cut it off and talk, man, or what? Your face ain't gonna be on there, bro. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
Now, my thing is, I think they're more concerned about their face being on camera because they didn't want dad or mom to see that they were talking about what was going on. That's my assumption about why they don't want to. I want to break down the concept of what this issue really speaks about. I think we keep hearing some disturbing stuff coming out with today's pastors. And I have a theory about it. You know, all the conversation about come as you are and God wants you as you are. Um, don't worry about what you've done. Um, it don't matter what you've done. God is all love. I have a theory that that particular mindset has left people with the delusion that whatever they do and however they behave, it's okay because it's forgivable. So you don't really have to change a whole lot. You don't have to adjust anything. It's just who you are. And that's okay. I think that's what has become and given license to this type of behavior. And it's not just here, it's everywhere in terms of anything that they do. You hear TD Jakes say it, right? All I have to do is ask forgiveness and I'm good to go. No, see, the problem is not, it's not just that. That's not all. You see, accepting that you did something for a long period of time that was practiced leaves you disqualified, TD Jakes. The same way that this type of behavior from this guy, if it bears out to be that he did indeed leave his children out there since the middle of the summer, makes him disqualified from just about anything, including being a parent. Including being a parent. The church, I guess you could say, has become a not just a cesspool, but a cover. It's become a cover. Now this is him at his preaching spot.
And there is a cross for me. My God, I don't need to go there and bust your bubble on Wednesday. But that must have been the song in the spirits of those brothers during the Montgomery Brawl. You remind me.
Now, I play that for telling you for two reasons, okay? It's not very clear. Understand that. It's not supposed to be clear. He had a reputation for being, what you call it? Brash. Kind of probably what you'd call this one. Yeah, me, brash. And I do understand that disciplining boys is difficult. I have 4. So I'll give you an example of something I did. Because, transparency and all, that's what I work with, right? And I've told this story before some time back, but maybe some of y'all need to remember. Some years back, and I mean, so let's see, we've been here 3, so 5, maybe 6 years ago, now. The boys, 2 of them in particular, the oldest and the middle. The oldest and the middle tee off each other a little bit, and they used to do it a lot when they were younger, okay? And they got really disrespectful to mom one day. And I was like, okay, look, the next time y'all talk out like that to your mom, you're going to be sleeping in the garage, okay? This was about in the fall. And they were like, they didn't take that seriously. So they talked back to mom. And we're not talking about like, no, I won't. We're talking, mad disrespectful. So I said, bet. All right. The clothes you got is mine, right? I bought it for you. Give me those. I'll let you keep the undies. You're going to the garage. Now, the garage isn't open. It's sealed off, closed, okay? So they're like, no. I was like, hey, listen carefully. I told you if you acted up and talked back to your mom again, this is what would happen. Did I not? Yeah, well, What do you think's going to happen? You think I'm going to back? No, we're going through with this. So they got down to their undies, walked them out to the garage, closed the door, and walked off. A friend of mine who was like, she's like, you really going to do that? It's like, just watch, wait and see. So I go back and check on them in 5 minutes. And they're in the corner there. And I was like, so now you know that I'm willing to go through with what I tell you. The next time you act up, I'm taking you down to the police station. Now, mind you, they didn't do anything, but they don't know that. They just know that, hey, he said the garage happened. He said the cop station, that's probably going to happen too. They went inside, apologized, case closed. I don't see myself taking my sons, punishing them in the garage, and never checking back on them to see if they've learned their lesson and leave them out there for 7 months. I don't see how that could be a logical punishment. Even on the spectrum of being a strict authoritarian, 7 months is a tad long to teach a lesson. Like, you know, okay, so you left them out there for a weekend even. Just a weekend is like excessive. And I'm thinking, okay, you've been outside. I've had you sleep on the porch for a weekend. And then I pass you on Sunday to go to church and I get you dressed to go to church. And then I come back and I dump you on the porch. Now, what I'm looking to see if I find it again, because what you're going to see here is this one's going to be what I'm going to show is going to be a little bit rough. Okay, it's going to be a bit rough, but I need to find the page of them first, and once I find this page, then you'll know what I'm talking about, because there are pictures of the son, one of them at least, and something didn't seem right, like at all. It did not seem right. He looked unwell, and I'm going to see if I can find that video of him or picture of him, and you can decide whether or not what you're seeing is a healthy child or not. Okay, I wonder if they've taken down those videos or pictures since I saw it last, because they have been going through systematically and taking down stuff from the church's website and the Facebook page. I understand why they can't afford to be showing what I saw, but I hope this one is still there. I'm still looking. I should have saved it to my computer, but I did not. One of the sons was on stage. Okay, here's a good one. All right, I got it. Now, maybe you can tell me if you see something off with this, okay? Because I see something off with it, and I saw it right away. But then again, maybe I'm the weird one and I see too much. All right, here we go. What do you see as an issue so far with the sons? What do you think is the number one issue you see so far? Anybody? Because there is something very blaring and obvious to me, but I'm not. I'm glad I'm not the only one. There was another picture of them, the smaller one there, in the black jacket. When I tell you his arm, and I mean the upper arm here, was absolutely emaciated looking, just scrawny. If this doesn't become a case for CPS, and I don't really trust CPS, but you know what I mean by CPS. If these children aren't pulled from that home, I don't know what to say about people and their so-called care for kids. I really don't. Okay, here it is. Here I found it. Woo, we found it. This is another one. Okay, this one will show you what I'm talking about. This one will show you what I'm talking about. This one was bad. Now understand that some kids are just slim, but to have both of them, this is in Detroit, Michigan. Really? Okay, I was very slim. All right, I was super slim, super skinny for a long time in my life. And it wasn't because I was malnourished. It was because I just didn't eat. I hated food. And I just couldn't put on weight anyway. But at his age, I wasn't like that either. I still wasn't. There is a marked difference between skinny because you know have a high metabolism and gaunt because you're starved. This is their kid. Now, when you couple that with what you've been seeing on social media there, right? With what you heard about the parents, how in the world, one, is he a pastor, and two, a parent? I'm just curious as to how that's even remotely possible. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't think any of them are over the age of 16. I don't see their ages listed anywhere. But you can almost see, and I'll show you this other picture here. In them taking of this picture, it almost looks as though they have an innate fear of what would come their way if they didn't do what they're doing here. I'm going to put this one up. I'm going to zoom in a little more so you can see the expression on their face. All right. Now, you're holding up a certificate of being a disciple. Do they look enthused to do what they're doing? Do they look excited? The question is whether or not they're going to be able to be, the parents, I mean, charged for anything. There is no doubt that the kids were indeed sleeping on the porch. That's not up for debate. That did indeed happen. The wife is also on the side of the husband that it was okay to do. They were just teaching them a lesson. So this is not even a question of if they did it, they did it. They even have their reasons for doing it. Now in comes the question of whether or not anything will be done to them because of what they've done, knowing how the system is today. More importantly, what is the body that they're a part of going to do? Because they obviously haven't separated themselves from this man and his wife yet. They're quite happy to have his picture and likeness still all over the place. Maybe they're of the kind that will say, oh, we're just, this is a matter of an internal thing. And if we forgive him, then it's all good. That's what they might be saying to themselves. We forgive him. There's nothing wrong. He did what he had to do. He's just being a father. Maybe people should mind their own business. I can see that being the church's response, considering that they haven't taken down, and they are one of those socially justice-oriented kind of church as well. The ultra-black behavior of churches, Juneteenth celebrating, Kinta wearing kind of church, and they have all the pro-black nonsense that you can think of going on. So I can easily see them saying, no, this is an attack against a black pastor, and we will not stand by and let this happen, and blah, 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 blah. I can see it, considering, like I said, what they normally push. Now, here's my question. Do other churches, and of course, I using that term, the way we talk about it here, other bodies around should say something and do something, but they won't. They won't. I don't even know if they were homeschooled. Now, here's the crazy part. If they were homeschooled, they would get away with it a lot easier. Even if they did go to school, you can see that they know how to dress them up. You can see they know how to dress them up to make them look good. My question, too, is this. Who was behind covering all of this up to begin with? Like, how does one get around to doing this for so long and nobody say anything? Like, it's not till the winter kicks in that somebody finds it odd that kids are sleeping on the porch. Okay, look. My daughter, she likes camping. And maybe she can't go camping and she decides, you know what? I'm just going to sleep on the porch. And she pitches her tent on the porch, and she could probably sleep there for a couple of days, 3 days. After a while, it'd be like, hey, you got to go inside and take a shower. And we don't want you on the front porch no more. But you think I'm going to let my daughter camp out on the porch for 5, 6, 7 months? No. There is no reason behind this. There's no logic behind this. You cannot tell me this is a punishment with what? With no end? No end to the punishment? What could they have done so egregiously that you have to punish them for that long of a time? I heard one story, I haven't verified anything, that one of the kids said that they weren't allowed to go use the bathroom. They had to go use the bathroom elsewhere. And they were only allowed one meal. That I can believe based on what I see. So what is the church's stance on this? What should the church do? Is this a matter for the church? I do believe it is a first and foremost matter for the church, yes. I 100% believe and agree that the church should be the first one to take action. And the first thing they should do is remove him from leadership. Period. Point blank, remove him from leadership. He obviously cannot take care of his own household. It's obvious. Remove him. Just be done. You cannot be in here. You cannot be doing anything to do with leadership. Go fix your home. Get that in order. You're done here. Secondarily, find a way to house the children without CPS in some other location until the situation is resolved. Now, someone had mentioned Stockholm Syndrome. Now, if this had been going on for quite a while, I could see the children thinking nothing of it. I can see them becoming so ingrained in this idea that this is just how dad is, that they don't consider themselves even abuse. They are harmed by it, but they don't want to put it into the category of it's abuse. They may get just enough to make them feel like their dad and mom still love them. And that's what's going to keep them from probably facing charges. Especially if you can get the kid to say, no, I wanted to sleep on the porch and my mom just let me do it. Or both of them saying, no, we were having fun sleeping on the porch. We like it cold, and that's what my mom and dad suggested we do. It's just parents giving their kids what they wanted. I'm going to reference somebody that you should never reference in terms of church, but I think in a lot of ways, Oprah was right. Oprah was right. And I think Oprah is right mostly because she does it too. But this is why I think she's right. You remember in an interview that she had on stage or something like that, she said, if a child abuser is any good, it'll feel good to the child. It is no different in this situation. If you can convince the child that what's happening to them is okay because of this, and this, the child may not hate you for it. The child will be upset. The child will be harmed emotionally, but they won't blame you. They'll just think this is natural until they encounter somebody else who does things differently. And then they're like, so why does my mom do and my dad do that? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think you're going to see more of this popping up, though. And I have no doubt that this goes on more and more and more than we don't know about it. And here's the other thing, okay? So maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong in thinking this. But I think many of the big pastors, or even the ones that are trying to be big, have such a want to be seen by the public as having everything perfect. They will use abusive means to keep their people in line. So if they don't want to have the idea that your wife is a rebellious woman or she's talkative, and you don't want to see them make it look like your children are disobedient, you really overly abuse them to keep them quiet, subservient, and look like it's the perfect picture. God isn't doing that, but their hope of people looking at them a certain way will force their hand to do that, especially if they know that's not the truth about the relationships that they have. Keep them out of in line and all that stuff. No, these are his and her own children. These are their biological children. These are their biological children. Precisely. This entire story jumped out at me because for about 5 or 6 years in there, you saw a lot of pastors with affairs. I think they're like stages. You'll hear about pastors and affairs, and then you'll hear about pastors and aggression and violence and sometimes murder. Then you'll hear about pastors and underage children, and then you'll hear about pastors and embezzlement. Then you'll hear about pastors and something else. Why are we shocked by it? I know some people say, well, men will, they're all human. I don't know. Look, no. I'm not giving pastors the excuse that, oh, they're just men, or we're all fallible. No. I do believe that the cover of the cloth gives many reason to do what they're doing. Some do it because no one will ever think they are capable of doing it, and some will do it because it's easy. Case in point, many pastors will shepherd women and some women pastors will shepherd men. And you'll hear of incidences where the shepherding becomes, something more. Now, you don't want the other person to know what's going on, so you keep it under cover by saying, she confided in me, he confided in me, and I cannot tell you what happened because that is something we have to work out together. I think this is bringing to light something that has been there, kind of like an undercurrent. But I think many are going to look at it and say, well, see, this is why I don't go to church. Or this is why church is bad. The problem is you're assuming that this is the church. You are off the top assuming that what he was doing was God's work. You're assuming right off the top that what he was doing was first ever sanctioned by God. You see, this is why I've told people I have disqualified myself from that title for many reasons. Outside of the marriage history and all like that, I am not above reproach from my past life. I might be that way from God, but before God, that's fine. Yes, him and I, we're clean, we're good. Mankind, not so much. And with that knowledge, there's no way you're going to get me to put myself to that level and say, I am that. No. Because eventually that will come back to do something to the people that I'm supposedly over. You remember your pastor used to blah, 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 blah. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that. Which is why they're few. It should be few and far between, but they're not few and far between. Now look at it this way. He's now done this. Would he ever be above reproach again? No. Is he managing his household? No. So he's already right off the top, shouldn't be in that role. Right off the top. It even says not many of you should be teachers. I don't even consider myself a teacher. I will tell you right off the top, I don't even consider myself that. What I am, and I keep telling people this, is a believer who talks about what I believe. And I know in whom I've believed, I know what I believe, and I know what it tells me to say about that belief. Which makes everyone accountable to be able to talk about the word. I'm not gathering anybody under my wing and say, I'm going to teach you the word of the word teaches itself. Holy Spirit does that all by himself. He doesn't need me for that. He's quite capable of explaining, breaking it down, unveiling, all of that. But this guy is pretty obviously not qualified to be in that position. I don't care about what his doctrinal side is. I'm looking at based on what just the criteria is of what position he says he's in, and he's already failed at. He's failed over the number one commission he's had, which is that of parent. He's failed. And this isn't a matter of failing where your son goes out and finds drugs or finds a gang and you've tried your best and you've taught him the Bible and he doesn't want to listen. That's different. We're not talking about that. We are talking about a man who actively goes out of his way to do something to his children that's antithetical to his post. The man is abusing not just his role as a pastor, but as a parent. And I don't know what exactly is going to happen with the kids. I really don't. But I'm more and more convinced that this is going to end up being a nothing burger when it's all said and done, that there are going to be no consequences to them. The kids are just going to continue to live the way they are because they're probably of the age where they can decide it. and the courts are going to let it happen and let it stay that way. And eventually, trust me, eventually the kids are going to have to come face to face with what this meant to them, what it actually meant to happening to them, and what it means for their future. They're eventually going to have to try and make reconciliation with that in their minds and what they've seen, what they've gone through, and then weigh it against what actually a good parent looks like. The question is, what's that going to do to their faith? It could always solidify it. Yeah. The odds of them saying, man, I've lived a God directed life are slim because of what they're going to know about what actually took place. What does that mean for their life as a parent when they get to the age of having children? What exactly are they going to impart to their kids if this is the now? I'm not for the whole generational curse thing, but you are creating a pattern of behavior and making it seem as though it's okay, especially if nothing happens to them. Well, Kathy, that would have been a legal issue for him, and I can understand why you wouldn't show it, especially if being a minor. They're still minors. And let me check one thing real quick, because I have a suspicion that might be the case, but let me see if I'm right about this. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Michigan's a one-party consent state, but I'm still sure that being a minor, you can't have them on film like that. Especially recording them, you might be on a public street, but this is on a private residence on their porch, and I think it's especially for minors, you could get into some serious hot water for that. So I think that is why he wouldn't have shown their faces. They were also saying to him they don't want their faces shown. So him putting them out there like that would have been definitely a violation. He could have ended up himself in a problematic situation. The crazy thing about this is I do believe that nothing will happen. I don't think nothing will happen. And when I told you that there'll be people who will be trying to trying to consider whether to do this or not, you know what? I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. This one I'll leave alone. But just know there will be people that justify the keeping of the children with the family. And that should tell you more than you need to know about where we are anymore. And he will eventually stay in the position he is because of things. This will not be something that you'll see will go away in terms of from the news, but it'll go away in the church. They'll sweep this under the rug. It'll just be another thing they do, and that'll be it. I don't know how many times we're going to see this stuff take place in 2025, but I anticipate it will be happening more. And the church is eventually going to get more of a bad rap, and less people will want to come to the Lord because of it. And I think that is going to help with the falling away, the great falling away that's supposed to happen. And unfortunately, there'll be many that are fine with it. there'll be many that are fine with it. That's the unfortunate thing about it, is this will eventually become a, you know, a thing, just a thing to do. That's that, and you see, that is my biggest concern there. Especially if the kids were unwilling to speak about what was happening, and it had to be reported. It tells me they have quite the control over these boys, and not just regular control. This is like some domineering fear tactic control over them. They didn't speak out when the person was asking them questions. They're obviously not that confident in their responses. They also, I think, still have some semblance of this ain't completely normal. So, which is why they don't want it recorded. It could either be that they don't want to record it because it's uncomfortable, or they don't want dad knowing that people are starting to ask questions about it. And if he does get wind that they're asking questions about it, they're going to be the ones to pay the price. So they don't want their face on camera for dad to see, dad hear them talking about it, dad hearing their discomfort with it, and then dad get even more mad. And this goes to a whole nother level that they don't even want it to go on. He's bigger than them. He has a tendency to be aggressive. Mom's not on their side, so they have nobody in their corner. I can answer that very easily. Loyalty can be bought. That's one thing, but it can also be scared out of you. If I can convince you as a pastor that your only path to heaven is listening to me, you will be afraid to get rid of me. If I can convince you that what I'm doing is the only way to get you to where you need to get to, and you hear some stuff about me, you'll be like, I'm not going to deal with it. He's my only way to get where I'm going to get. I cannot turn my back on this. It is why you see people defend certain people, mankind, defend man with some of the most ridiculous things. They'll come forward and defend them. They'll defend them. So if you have a good enough grip on people, you can make them do a whole lot of dumb stuff, overlook a whole lot of dumb stuff. Heck, okay, listen. There are people that still follow Kenneth Copeland. There are people that still listen to T.D. Jakes. There are people that still listen to Joel Osteen. Those people have proven to everyone that they have no qualifications for the post that they're in, that they are constantly going against the book that they say they read out of, and everybody keeps following them. What does that tell you? Itching ear syndrome, fear, whatever you want, but it's obviously not God. So understand why they wouldn't say anything. Now, couple that with the concept that you've now made people believe that your color is your one validative quality, and people are coming after you. The first thing they're going to make sure you let you know, you're going after him because of. Now all the other facts are inconsequential, because you would never do this if the person was white. You'd never do this if the person was this. You'd never do that if the person was that. And then all of a sudden, the case, the issues, the topic, the crux of the matter gets thrown out. Who cares about what they actually did? You wouldn't care that they were doing that if they weren't this color. And because they're that color, I don't care what they did. I need to defend that person because they're of that color. That's what's going to happen in this case, regardless of what he did. regardless. All I know is this: a teacher, preacher should know better. Okay? If you consider yourself a preacher or teacher, you should know better. So for me to assume that you don't know what you're doing is wrong should be a no-brainer, that I'd be stupid to think that. You have to know what you're doing is wrong. You just like doing it. So I'm not going to give anybody that says they're a preacher a pass. I'm never going to give you that, because you say you're a preacher. You say you've read the word. You say that. So I'm going to hold you to what you say you know. I'm not going to give you the saying, well, maybe he didn't know that, and maybe they didn't know, and maybe he didn't see. No, you called yourself a pastor. You are held to a much higher standard. It even says that you're going to be judged more harshly. So why am I going to judge you less harshly? I'm not going to judge. I'm going to judge you way harder than anyone else, because you've said that you are so aware of the word that you can present it to people in a way that they will listen to you for preaching purposes, for administering it to them. That's what your job is. That is not what you do. So if that's the case, I'm going to judge you more harshly. And in this case, this man has problems, and it's obvious that the church will not do anything about it. It is obvious that it's not going to go much further than, oh, okay, here it is. This is what's going to happen. Because I haven't heard of a court case or a issue with it happening to where people are like, yeah, okay, let's take care of it. I have not heard of that yet. So far, he's just under fire socially. Socially. Sources told NBC or NC Beat that the alleged reasoning for the Joneses' alleged accused that the reasoning is the Joneses allegedly accused their sons of engaging in worldly behaviors. This is the reason they punished them, because the sons were indulging in worldly behaviors. According to CPS, to reports, CPS was notified about this madness early this year, but apparently, as you can see, they have not done anything about the situation. So CPS was reported to. Nothing was done. Nothing will be done. Nothing will be done. Has the husband asked for forgiveness? Has the mother asked for forgiveness? Let me start with that discernment. I thought I'd let it go, but your stupidity is getting too much for me now. What am I restoring? What am I restoring? Has the father or mother seen the error of their ways even after people have called them out on it? What are we forgiving? What are we exercising? And to what extent are we restoring? What are we restoring? You tell me, what am I restoring? Have they seen that they're wrong? Yes or no? No. Are they wrong in their eyes? No. So what am I forgiving? They never have yet to admit that what they're doing is vile. So how are you going to restore something when you don't have any inclination that the people see that is broken? How exactly are you going to restore that? And what exactly am I praying for? You're assuming what? These people are so nonchalantly stupid that they don't know what they're doing? And I'm just supposed to randomly forgive them while the act is still going on? That's how forgiveness works? No wonder the church is in the mess it is right now because, hey, so what if they're homosexual? I forgive them. They're coming here all the time. It's okay. Every time they come, I forgive them. No change needed. I just forgive them. I'm just restoring everybody. What are we restoring? In their minds, both mom and dad see nothing wrong in what they're doing. So if they see nothing wrong in what they're doing and they continue doing what they're doing, how in the world are we restoring anything if they remain broken on purpose? How? This man has no remorse about the sin he's committing, which is child abuse. No remorse, not him, not the wife, none of them. So what am I going to restore in this relationship? There's nothing to restore. The whole purpose of forgiveness is for you to come forward and say, I have sinned. They haven't done that. In fact, they continue to preach. They destroyed their own family discernment. I'm not calling for nothing. I'm calling for justice for the children. If you love to abuse children, just say so, bro. If you don't mind seeing children out in the cold, being left unfed, just say you love watching that stuff. Say you have a fascination with children being abused. Say that's your kink. Just admit it right now that that's your kink. You have a sick fetish for having children abused. But it's a pretty obvious cut and dry case that they left their children on the porch since June. I'm not calling for anything. They've already destroyed their family. And how exactly is God going to heal anything when you don't want the healing? Last time I checked, Jesus didn't just go around touching everybody that had it. People came to him knowing their state. Have those two gone to God to ask for healing in the family? No. Do they see the need for healing? No. So you're wanting God to what? Force it? They've justified their actions. I was just about to say the same thing. For a title of discernment, you sure don't have any of it. For someone with the title of discernment, you sure have zero discernment. As a man, first and foremost, as a man, he's out of pocket. As a husband, he's out of pocket. As a preacher, he's out of pocket. In every facet of his life, he out of pocket. And he don't see the need to turn from nothing. And the ones to suffer will be his children. What am I forgiving? Do we just walk around randomly forgiving people? No. No. And the last time I checked, I told you already, he doesn't seem to be a brother at all. The fact of the matter remains this: he and his wife have zero, and I mean zero remorse. If there is zero remorse, there's nothing to forgive because he does not see a trespass. And it's not against me. So I don't need to forgive him of anything. It's not against me. This trespass is against his kids and the body that he serves. I'm missing the point. Is the family destroyed right now? Discernment. Discernment, let me ask you a question. Is the family destroyed right now? I'll wait for your answer. Is the family destroyed? And secondarily, you don't tell me to calm down. You obviously don't know how to de-escalate a situation, do you? So not completely. You have kids, discernment? Do you have kids? You have a ring on your finger, but do you have kids? It's a simple question. You got kids? You would do that to them? Would you leave your children on the porch in a place like Detroit for months? Why not? It's not going to destroy your family, or at least not mostly. You can do it. It's not going to destroy your family, right? It's not going to completely destroy your family if you did it. So why not do it? Why not? You said it's not completely going to destroy the family. If it's not going to completely destroy the family, then it's not that bad, right? Am I wrong? No, don't bring in that now. I'm asking you a very specific question. You said it's not going to completely destroy the family. If it's ungodly, I want you to really, discernment, I need you to really analyze your thought process here. You say it's ungodly. The reason he put his kids outside was because they were acting like the world. He did this for 6+ months. The family isn't broken? The family isn't broken? You wouldn't consider the family broken if you did this to your kids? If you acted ungodly, that wouldn't be a broken family. Okay. You see, I know you like moving goalposts. I'm asking you a very simple question. You said it was ungodly. What has to happen for healing, discernment? I'm going to help you out. What has to happen for healing? You tell me. What has to happen for healing? What's the very first step to healing? You tell me. I will wait for you to tell me what the very first step to healing is. Have they done that? Have they done that? It's a simple question. Have they done it? I'll wait. Again, I'll wait. Have they done that? Yay or nay? Come on. Yes or no? Have they done it? No answer? Or you type in a book? They haven't repented, but you want healing. They see no problem, but you want healing. He is a man of leadership in the church. Everything he does is public. Everything he does is public. If he's going to preach publicly, repent publicly, especially when everybody is seeing something crazy publicly. He hasn't done that. There will be no healing because he does not see the need for healing. You want to pray for that? Pray for that. But remember now, he said he's a pastor. He's not like some layman, not somebody just sits in the pews every day and may not know. He espouses to know the word. He espouses to know all of the word to the point where he can preach it. And if he refuses to apologize or repent, it tells me that he is willingly staying that way. So no repentance happens there. You cannot have any restoration. Not possible. I don't know how this is difficult for you, but it's not possible. I don't espouse the word to know anything about it. Maybe you should watch my channel. Maybe discernment, you should watch what I say. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna let the people here tell you what I always tell you. What do I always tell? Please educate discernment on what I do. Please. Just please educate discernment on what I do. Have I ever espoused to know the word? Please tell him, please. Please tell him what exactly I do. You see, people like you, discernment, you put preachers in a very high regard to the point where you don't see anything wrong and they just need to be forgiven and restored every time they do something stupid. That's not me. It's definitely not what the word says. So I don't know where you're getting that from. I read the Bible and tell people to read the Bible and tell people when they have an issue, don't take it to man, take it to the author. That is all I tell them. That's all I tell them. And I do know that in the word, you cannot have restoration without repentance. And he hasn't done that at all. And he's a pastor. I don't espouse to be a pastor. I don't espouse to be a teacher or a minister. And I've said that billions of times here. I don't say that. But this man, this tubby fool, says he is a pastor. This lying piece of crap says that he's a father. And that's the disgusting stuff he's doing to his children without remorse. In fact, he justifies it while doing something, like you said, is ungodly. And that Jezebel of a wife he has is all for it as well. Never forget what it actually says in the word, right? It'd be better that what a millstone be hung around his neck. Maybe since he's unrepentant, that should be the next method of operation so that he will repent. Here's what I'll pray for, discernment. I pray that something akin to a millstone should be implemented in this situation so he'll understand the gravity of his problem since he wants to harm the young ones. That's what I'll pray for because that's biblical. I will pray for a millstone-like experience for Kwame Jones. How about that? How about that? That's what I'm going to pray for. Because he obviously does not take rebuke very well. He doesn't. And as for you saying, I don't take rebuke very well, I asked you last time to give me book, chapter, verse, pun intended, about how I'm supposed to approach somebody that's not a brother. He didn't do that. Hey, look, I don't know if they decided to stay on the porch, but I do know that the parents say they implemented that as a punishment. But I do look at the children not being able to speak up as a sign that they did indeed live in that house in fear. There's a lot of fear in that house. A lot of fear. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a strict parent. That was one of the sticking points, is that I'm very strict. My disciplines are sometimes, people consider them harsh. Like, I will take stuff away from people for months and not a problem with it. I'll make sure I ground you for months and not care about it. I'm not talking about a weekend. I will ground you for months. If I ask you to do something that has to do with the kitchen and you don't want to wash the dishes, then you don't eat. You don't touch the food. You make the dishes dirty, you help around the house. If you don't, well, you don't eat. That kind of punishment. I'm very strict. Now, am I going to starve my children for a week? No. Am I going to go to them and say, so you would rather starve yourself than help around the house? I'm still going to talk to them, but I'm not going to leave them for 2-3 days on end without food. That's stupid. My point is not being proven. What I'm doing is just killing my kid. But I also know my kids. And after about half a day, hunger wins. Hunger be like, man, bro, you better go do them dishes, man. We can't do this for another 2 hours. You got it. They get up and they go do it because their belly is speaking more wisdom than their brain. So I can understand that you want to do something to get their attention. That's one thing. But I think that months, you've lost the lesson. You've lost the lesson, and all you're doing that now for is control. All you're doing it now for is to prove a point. All you're doing it now for, the only other left out answer is abuse. That's all I can think of. Heck, my mom did this to me when I was smaller. If you didn't want to eat the food I give you, then you don't eat. And me with my stupid self, I didn't eat. Nighttime came though, and you're like, oh, I want to eat something. And the thing is, my mama would leave the food there. Leave it out, covered it over. She wouldn't throw it out. That's wasting food. Eventually, I'd have to go eat it cold because we didn't have microwaves. Eventually, I'd have to go eat the food cold. You know what that made me appreciate? Warm food. It made me appreciate warm food, so I started to eat. It was different. This is extreme. And it's definitely not part of what a pastor should be doing if he's supposed to be taking his household and keeping his household in check. He's not doing the job. And if he's not doing the job, he should be removed from that position. If the children are being abused, you need to take the children away from that situation so they're not killed. If he's willing to do that, he's more than likely willing to do something else. If the children can be left on the porch like that, trust and believe me, him hitting them with something egregious is not out of the question. He's probably done worse. He's probably done worse. All I know is that they're going to eventually have to deal with this when they become adults. And this will indeed damage the way they view not just society, but family life, the Christian walk, they see their father, a pastor, capable of doing this, and they will have a very skewed vision of God. This could mean the difference between them following and not following. Rear up a child in the way he should go, he's not doing that, and he's supposed to be a pastor. We were going to start Hosea on Monday, but I think we'll start Tuesday. Reason being, something popped up that kind of piqued my, I don't know if you would call it a funny bone, but it made me think. And I believe now, I say I believe I might be onto something, and you guys can give me your 2 cents as to what you think too. And I'll give you a little preview of what it's going to be Monday. I've noticed a trend, and the trend of there are two different ones that they do it like, and there's two trends, and both of them have to do with preaching. Okay. There has been a new move in the church for pastors to speak a certain way. And it's not, I'm not talking about the old, that's been around for a while. We're not talking about whooping. But there is a certain way that they talk now that made me curious about spells. It made me curious about spells. And I mean witchcraft type spells. And so we're going to investigate if what we're seeing as church is actually witchcraft via the delivery of the pastors that are in charge. And I think when you hear multiple ones speaking a certain, you'll understand what I mean. It's almost as though they have an incantation that they're doing over you as to how they speak, the cadence, what syllables they use, how the level of the volume that they're speaking at. You know what I'm, so I'll get a nice swath of them to show you what I mean. But I think not 100% sure, but I think that might be a reason to why people are the way they are now. I think it's how they deliver it. I think it's not even what they say, which is why they can't dispute the stuff they say. They have to go based on what you hear, how you hear it. But you can tell me come Monday. But we'll talk about that on Monday. Then we'll go into Hosea the rest of the week. Savage Patriots will be on today, 6:30, free for all. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to cover multiple topics today. So it may run a little bit longer than an hour. And Too Strong is working on a project right now that has to do with Disney. So hopefully that'll drop soon. It'll be a fairly long one, but we're working on that. In any case, you guys have a grand weekend if you don't show up to the Savage Patriots show. We'll catch you guys come Monday. It'll be if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I set my appointment for Tuesday, but it could be Thursday. It'll be one of those 2 days. I cannot remember, and I did not put it in my calendar. Be mad. I don't have an issue with that. Well, I'll usually get a text the day before now, so hopefully they'll send me the text the day before. I'm supposed to be, so I can let you know if we're going to be earlier at 11 a.m. Eastern or 12 Eastern. Okay. It'll either be Tuesday or Thursday. One of those two. So we'll catch you then. Savage Patriots in a bit, and then we'll have a discussion come Monday about these. How should I phrase them? What would they be? Spellcasters. That's what I'll title it. Spellcasters. Yeah, spellcasters. I think that'll be it. So we'll talk Monday about the spellcasters and see what the similarities are between whether or not I'm tripping or if I'm just reading too much into it. And we'll go from there. Okay. Love you guys. Mean it. Scrolling at the bottom. Again, you know what to do. You know who to talk to. You know exactly what to discuss, how to discuss. As long as you go to him. I don't care if you don't discuss that. Just go to him. Keep that conversation open. Always talk. Always talk. Because he's always sending you somewhere to go find the answer. Okay. Mom and Michael are good. I talked to them yesterday. When I do go down in March, I'll be taking another knee brace for him so he can practice walking a little bit better. He's walking, but you have to remember that we don't have the best system down there for medicine. And to pay for therapy is ridiculous, and they're not even doing real good therapy. And mom's not the strongest person on the earth, so she can't really walk with him up and down anywhere to do it. So it's, so hopefully I'll work with him for the 2 weeks and then work with the building is done. He's enjoying it. He's not worried about it breaking down and falling on him anymore. Thank God. So he's doing good. He's happy. And everyone here is fine. B's good. Kids are good. We're in transition a little bit, but we're good. Not transition bad, just trying to figure out where we'll be here housing wise. So we're in transition. In either case, we'll catch you guys later today and on Savage Patriots. Love you, mean it. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself.